John, by Chiranjeev, and in the evening by Mukti. Now the first one was practically a commentary on the first discourse of Microvita in a nutshell. Dada went through that discourse chapter by chapter, and he made a few very important distinctions which should be kept in mind. There's one that Microvita can be creations, but mostly they are emanations. Now they are emanations from cosmic factor, and cosmic factor is a duality of energy and a proposed owner of the energy. These emanations happen in the first half of the cosmic cycle as well as in the second half, in which the first half is going from the subtle to the crude and crudest, and the second half is going from the crudest to the subtle and subtlest. Then it is explained in that discourse that Microvita are defined to exist just between matter and mind. And the example given for matter is the electron, and the example or the word given for the mind is ectoplasm. Ectoplasm is a term which we are not very familiar with, at least in my understanding, but it is useful to know what the author means is mind stuff, ectoplasm. And on the macrocosmic scale, I mean in the microscopic scale, or on the macroscopic scale, the matter is taken as an initial matter, and the mind is taken as a cosmic ectoplasm. So Microvita would be defined to exist just between, means on that silver lining between these two domains. And it was clearly pointed out that the Microvita, being defined as such, are not at all RNA or DNA based. Further, it was clarified that Microvita are the smallest portion of consciousness and energy combined together. Each microvitum has a particular potential or a particular desire. And in human minds, the microvita produce ideas, among other things, but they also can produce ideas. Then they were subdivided into three types. One type is those which could be eventually seen by the highest developed instruments, could be eventually seen, not by an ordinary microscope, but some microscope which has to be developed. Then another type of microvita which cannot be sensed, but which can be perceived by their action. They do something, and what is done can be perceived. And the third type of microvita would be those where we have to conceive the change in perception. They would produce a change in our perception, and that conception of perception. Yeah. I mean, the term to be remembered, with or without meaning, is it is dealing with a conception of perception. Conception of perception, is it? A special type, yes. The third one, so subtle that we have a difficulty to catch it. No, I can understand. There is a concept of perception. And if that concept changes, it would be the effect of those very subtle microvita. Okay. Now, now there are microvita actions in the first half, means in the sign chakra, and the second half of Brahma chakra or cosmic cycle. And regarding the second half of that cycle, there are microvita which can acquire a physical body, and that physical body would be, could be called a virus. And these types, they would especially multiply and become stronger if the lower three chakras have weaknesses. Means if because of that weakness, the immune system would be weak, and that weakness of the immune system would allow these viruses to multiply. And Dada gave one sentence to remember that viruses are the handiwork of microvita. Viruses are not microvita, but they are the handiwork of microvita. Hmm? Yeah, they are made by the microvita themselves originally.
They create a body for themselves. They create a body to represent themselves.
Is it handiwork, is it above a quote or?
No.
No.
I try to explain.
They are made out of microvita, or the microvitas make them?
No, they're not made out of. I mean, viruses are made of carbon atoms, but the microvita are putting the carbon atoms together in such a way that it will be called a virus. Now this was the physical aspect of microvita, and there is another aspect of microvita also regarding that smallest part of consciousness, and that can be compared to a piece of ice floating in the water. And although the ice is also made of water, but it is in a different aggregation of water. And we could say that in the ice, the consciousness is specialized or localized, whereas in the water it would be generalized, a pure, or with mukti we would say a with mukti we would say a non-localized consciousness. So we have a localized consciousness here and a non-localized consciousness there. And that makes the difference between the microvitum and its original background. Okay, now we've got some microvita, and they can, as was said already, produce ideas in a person, and that idea can grow in that person, and after growing it can also spread to other persons and even spread to big communities. Another aspect is that these microvita can give direction or purpose to the energy, and they can help energy to perform its task. And the last idea was conveyed in that lecture, that the microvita make a psychic coverage of molecules, covering the surface of molecules, and thus allowing to have the molecules' likings and dislikings. And then it was pointed out that this coverage is not only on the outer surface of molecules, but it also goes into the inner surface of molecules. There are molecules which are folded, or like the DNA making a spiral. So the spiral will have an inner and an outer surface, and they are covering both. So inside, outside, as well as inside, that is covered by a coverage made up of microvita. That idea will be further displayed, I think, tomorrow. So that was the first lecture.